Hello everybody and welcome to WrestlingRingPost.com, and this is our inaugural show. It's here, it's me, it's Steve, and Mick. You gonna say something or are you just gonna shut up for once?
No. Let's get
Alright,
into this.
well, obviously this show is gonna be about cooking and how to eat with hot dogs.
And beating your wife, that's very important.
No,
if you're married.
No, not really, because this is actually about wrestling.
Oh.
And there's a lot of actually good topics to talk about today. First one is Ric Flair just was on the Cleveland show. I almost said American Dad or Family Guy. I mean, they're all
show.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half of Seth MacFarlane extravaganza.
Plus, he's doing Flintstones.
What'd you think of it?
I loved it. I thought that it was the best Cleveland show ever. I'm not a big fan of the Cleveland show, but I thought it was by far the funniest one they've ever done.
Yeah, definitely.
It was also probably the best on the adult, whatever they call their block.
Oh, Super Blockbuster Extravaganza.
Yeah, whatever it's called. It was
Yeah.
the best one. The
Definitely.
three McFarlane shows and one
better
that
show.
he copied.
Yeah, exactly. I like the fact that Flair looked like he did from like the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't look like, you know, the rubbery man boobs. That man that, you know,
Slicked back,
exactly,
boning hair.
Didn't
He
fight,
wasn't
fighting the Joker.
Yeah.
And
Or
he took a
Lex Luthor.
suplex and didn't break his arm or have the muscle fall off.
Also, he wasn't the super crazy, over the top now Flair.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Woo! Apparently that is an answer to things, and you know, like Lassie, what he means.
Well, it's
So.
like the dudes from basketball.
There you go. So, I mean, that was great. I definitely check it out. I'm sure it's going to be online here in a day or two.
Hulu.
So, definitely check it out because it was well worth it, especially if you're a big wrestling fan. Definitely check it out. Another recent kind of premiere has been the Stellar Micro Championship Wrestling of Hulk Hogan's that aired on True TV. That's what it's on. I mean, I don't know who watches it, but it was there.
It's true. Somebody's got to be watching.
Well, true, but they can't afford an E. They need to buy a vow. Apparently, they only had enough for one. Probably $200 or something, right?
All the leftovers from Court TV.
Yeah, well, that's pretty terrible. We got a third partner here, Benny, that's probably going to jump in and out of here. He's known as Tiger Mask 18 on the independent circuit in Michigan. Maybe you've never heard of him.
Chris Jericho, I think, gave him the name.
Maybe. He speaks Spanish, so I don't know what he's saying. So, but Micro Championship Wrestling, oh, it's terrible. Really, really bad. I've only watched like 5 minutes of it and I couldn't even watch it anymore.
Real wrestlers don't moan and cry as much as these guys. I don't know if they're trying to do it for ratings, for entertainment value, or if these guys really cry and complain as much as they do on TV. It's just... from the little bit of time that I've spent with real wrestlers, I've never heard those guys moan and complain as much as these guys did in a half-hour period.
I like that it was also kayfabed, I guess. Yes. Like they were saying, oh man, so my guy was getting beat up, and I decided to come in, and I'm going to beat him down, and then kick this guy in the face. Like I'm really trying to hurt him.
Also,
makes perfect sense.
The two girl wrestlers, the blonde, I don't remember their names, but the blonde and the heavyset girl, where the heavyset girl was like, oh, you know, I'm tired of like getting in the ring with somebody that doesn't know how to wrestle and not trying to hurt him. That's your job. You're there not to hurt somebody, and you're talking about you're tired of not... Do your job. I want you
to talk about Pat Tanaka.
Pat Tanaka was the best part of the show. It was great to see him. We haven't seen him in years. The ponytail might be a bad look when you're balding, but other than that, like, it was great to see Tanaka, especially with shoes. I've never seen him wear shoes.
Apparently he bought a pair. Who knew?
This micro-championship
so we'll go from one crappy Hogan thing to another in TNA Wrestling, and, I'm sorry, Impact Wrestling, which is brought to you by TNA Wrestling. It doesn't want to be known as TNA Wrestling.
However that works.
I don't even know if it's on anymore, Impact. I've never heard of it outside of last week, I guess, because it's gotten really bad. Joker's been fighting Lex Luthor.
Yes.
Kurt Angle, I guess is all. I should clarify it. And then, you know, he fought, the Cleveland show's Ric Flair, and
that's
tried to kill him
from now on.
Well, I'd rather be known as being on the Cleveland show than being on Impact anymore.
My big problem with TNA other than the fact that since Hogan and Bischoff took off, it's, you know, WCW, the next generation.
Calvin Carr's there.
Yeah, but not ever
Dan's
having...
played by Matt Morgan.
I can see that, the personality.
Exactly.
But no, the fact that they don't know how to end a match. They never have clean victories, which I think makes a lot of the guys look bad, especially if it's a championship. If you're not winning the championship clean, then it doesn't make you look like a good champion. And they really need to figure out a way to just legitly have guys pin somebody 1, 2, 3, not that the ref gets knocked down, the ref's looking away, or in some cases where the ref's looking blatantly right at a guy, hitting a guy with a weapon, and for some reason doesn't disqualify.
Well, during that Flair match with Sting, Flair low-blowed Sting with Hebner looking directly at him and somehow didn't notice it. And then the 8,000 run-ins by Immortal, and then Ken Anderson's entrance with a chair, and no one cared. I mean, that's right. There's TNA in a nutshell. Two older guys. Sting, I don't mind being there because Sting wasn't WWE. He doesn't have any of that. He's known as being a TNA wrestler right now. To the newest generation, they never saw him in WCW. They were too young.
Well, maybe the reason nobody cares is because it was Ken Anderson.
Well, that's probably why. So, I think we'll go from there to something at least slightly better, at least a little more controversial or something Raw. No one cares about SmackDown, so we won't cover that. If we make a B show, and we'll draft about like the fourth-rate guys that we have on our staff, they'll do SmackDown. So right now we're going to do Raw.
But now they're super shows, so yeah. There's not really a difference between the shows.
Well, there kind of is. That half the losers are on SmackDown, and then all of them are on Raw.
I think they're using the same writers, but...
Well, I think they are too.
And the same story.
So we'll go right to the controversial stuff with the abomination that has become the story of Punk, Triple H, Nash, Johnny Ace, and everyone else.
The COO, or Q, for those out there that know how to spell.
And the multitude of other wrestlers like R-Truth and Miz getting fired. And Triple H's impending feud with Vince McMahon. Punk's burying, really, anymore. Teaming with his arch enemy John Cena immediately, which doesn't make any sense. And Miz and Truth getting fired for doing their job, I guess. They were told to do it. I don't know. It's really retarded. How can you get fired for your boss telling you something to do, and then the other boss above you then tells you you can't do it, but technically the guy was still above you, so you had to listen to him anyways?
That has happened to me. But... On a different note, how do you get fired, but yet still have ring music, come out through the entryway, have new music in some cases?
Well, I don't know. How could Austin be employed, but only be at Raw for 5 minutes, back in the heyday? That's a good job, man.
Well, yeah.
He wasn't there, he wasn't in the back eating catering all day. He didn't come in until 5 minutes later because... Wow. 5 minutes into the show, or left in the show, because, I guess he got caught with the DUI driving that truck he'd always drive to the ring.
It could have been like
or
Hogan.
Mixer or whatever.
Hogan used to do his matches in the middle, even though they were the main event, so he could get back and get room service before they closed. But with the storyline, I think WWE really dropped the ball several times in the storyline. The whole thing where Kevin Nash texted himself when it could have easily been anybody that would have been better. The whole idea of not knowing who it was a good idea, but to somehow just turn around and he snuck in and he texted himself, why would he even have to do that? It just doesn't make sense. The idea of it, that it could have been Stephanie, or that it was Vince, or that it was John Laurinaitis, or it could have been Punk himself, any of those ideas would have been way better than to just have Kevin Nash text himself.
Well, how can he run? He pulled his quad. He ran. He was trying to get into the ring.
That was pretty quick from that segment. Plus, the other thing that was really weak with that was the whole idea that Triple H said he had video footage, but they didn't show the video footage.
No, they showed every other time something happened.
It was such a cop-out. Yeah, like when Bret Hart, the car that was parked, that just so happened they had no security and it backed into...
Well, do you remember the one where Triple H hit Shawn Michaels, but they didn't know who it was? And they zoomed in from a super pixelated image down to Triple H. We have that technology, apparently. I didn't know that.
Where was Gold Dust Television when, Diesel was in there, or I'm sorry, Kevin Nash, sorry, Jim Ross, coming in and doing the texting where, you know, was that camera footage? They have everything else. It was just, you could tell that the writers had no idea, and that just, bam, let's do it this way.
Yeah. You definitely could tell. I've heard that they've wrote multiple scripts every day, every Raw. I mean, that's pretty common, but apparently it's been worse than usual. And I think that's what it is. They oh, let's do this next week. Let's change it. And so just all this stuff. Who cares about Punk anymore? I actually don't care about him. I like him getting on the mic and saying things, but now his stories don't matter because they've been like, now it's Triple H and Johnny Ace in a struggle right now. That's really the story. There's no, and Nash is kind of out somewhere. Punk is out somewhere.
Nash is probably out taking care of Scott Hall. Well, for years, probably for the last, what, 4 or 5 years, they've been building a storyline, and usually it gets tanked somehow. Triple H gets injured, or, you know, Chris Benoit, whoever that guy was. But you have the whole thing they've tried to build up for the last 4 or 5 years, a Vince feud with different family members.
Right.
You know, there was the whole Vince dead, which I think was supposed to be Stephanie and Triple H behind it, and then the same idea where he was giving away the money and the Sept fell on him, I think was supposed to be Stephanie, you know, because he was giving away the inheritance money.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah, giving away the company.
This is something they've been building for a few years, and with different things like setbacks or just, you know, they tanked an idea. It's something they've been building on, and if they've been building on it that long, they could have come up with better things than to just say, hey, Kevin Nash texted himself.
Well, they think that the McMahons equal ratings. That doesn't mean anything.
I think McMahon thinks that the McMahons
equal ratings. It. McMahon thinks that. I don't even know if Triple H and Stephanie agree to that anymore. I think they might, because they're the ones that at least pushed the Punk stuff through early on. So I think that as much as a lot of people still like to bitch about Triple H and Stephanie, that they've been at least willing to put Punk on TV, have him get fired on TV, show Zack Ryder. I don't really care for the guy, but he's more power to him. He's been pushing himself really hard. He deserves the spot as much as he's pushing himself. You know, they've been pushing the mid-card more. There's a lot of other guys. We'll get to our top 5 wrestlers of the current thing going on right now, and you'll see some shockers there, I believe. And they've been doing a lot of things there, but then Vince just puts the hammer down and is like, no, this is what's going to happen. CM Punk, who cares? Really. Nash, who cares? I would have loved to have seen another Nash match. I actually don't know if he was really legitimately injured for that match with Triple H. I think there might have been some behind-the-scenes wrangling going on there.
I might agree. But as far as Raw, the Triple H CM Punk is really the most interesting thing on Raw, with a little bit of, I like the Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah, yeah.
The Sin Cara stuff,
That's been stellar.
Are they keeping both guys? Are they doing a Sin Cara tag team?
No, they said they're going to feud them all the way now to WrestleMania. I think you're going to have
WrestleMania, that's almost
I know. I think the great thing is, though, is I want to see them in a Hell in a Cell match. Hell in a Cell. Like, I want to see them flipping off the cage. Like playing SmackDown.
I'd rather see an Inferno match with those two.
Well, that would be hilarious.
Then you get some good lighting.
They match your hair on fire. You get good lighting, you be all blue and red and like fire and crap going on. No, it's terrible. I mean, I don't like either Sin Cara. The new one, the evil one's the new one, right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. He's okay. He's still not that great. But they work better with each other than they've worked better against anyone else.
Well, I find it funny
when I saw them.
I find it funny that Triple H had publicly come out and said that he was taking Sin Cara under his wing, and a week later he fails a steroid test, and they hire a new Sin Cara.
Yeah, it was a little bit week later. Yeah, though they had that. He's the one that hired him. So when he hired him, apparently he told him what to do. And you know, I don't know. I mean, that's. I wonder if that in a lot of ways is. I wonder if Vince is using that against Triple H. That, oh yeah, you're doing all these good things. You're doing Punk, but look what you do with Sin Cara. He's already been suspended once. And maybe that, you know what I mean? He's probably being scrutinized every damn day. Every guy there is being scrutinized every day. But Triple H is getting a much worse.
Well, as far as
what's with Johnny Ace getting a push? No one, or John Laurinaitis, because I don't know how many people really know who Johnny Ace is. The guy originally did the Stone Cold
Animal's
Stunner.
brother.
Yeah. Well, you know, who knows? But he's never been talked about on WWE. How many times have we seen him ever? The only time we'd ever seen was if we had to pull wrestlers apart, and that was very rarely even then.
It becomes that whole idea that I think anyone that gets into the business side of working for TNA, Impact, or whatever they're being, is TNA actually the company name? Impact is the show? Okay.
Still, I think it's still supposed to be in TNA Entertainment. Which,
so as far as
they're gonna have strippers next week.
Awesome, I might watch. TNA versus WWE. A lot of the guys, when they get in, whether they have the idea of ultimately I want to be on camera at some point, or hey, I just want to be a behind-the-scenes guy, seems that eventually they end up on camera.
Well, I mean, it's different if you're on camera pulling guys apart, whatever, because it looks like, you know, like it's gotten out of hand. But now all of a sudden, he's almost a wrestler. It's almost like I could see him being in the story mode in WV12.
My big problem with him is I think he looks like JBL, and I think he sounds like Super Dave Osborne. So
yes, so combining the two, not a good mix. He needs a cowboy hat.
Then he would, yeah. Then.
I don't know why, but I could see him riding a Segway to the ring. So when he comes out, he's like, no,
we had that already. Simon Dean.
Oh, that's right, he did.
Had the Segway.
He did. But if you have a Segway, you're a heel. There's no way to be a face and have a Segway.
Unless you're Mick Foley, because then you might need the Segway, but he could somehow make it work. I could see it.
Maybe. All right, well, I think besides that, you got any other random wrestling news that you have come across or seen or watched or anything? Anything. Doesn't have to be anything new. Anything watched? Random wrestling videos or anything?
Like old school YouTube?
Yeah, why not? Anything the last week or so.
Oh, actually, the Kenny Omega video.
Oh, yeah, we had that big discussion.
If you are a real wrestling fan, if you love the outrageous, if you love just seeing really good wrestling, Kenny Omega, do you remember what league that was?
That was in DDT. That was the one where
I think it was listed as DDT, but it's not. If you go on YouTube, I believe it's listed as DDT. It's a different league. But what was the little girl's name?
Haruka, I believe?
Something like that. Haruka. Kenny Omega, who's a developmental guy for WWE, wrestled a 9-year-old little girl, and it was one of the best wrestling matches that I've seen in a long time.
The girl looked credible. In the girl's case, she is amazing for a 9-year-old. And in Kenny Omega's case, the fact that he can put over a 9-year-old girl,
exactly,
it just makes it that much better. Well, he's also wrestled an Invisible Person.
The Love Doll.
He's wrestled Love Doll. He's a great wrestler. I think he's hopefully WWE uses him right. I mean, he's in developmental, probably be there for 2 years. Before anyone sees him, they'll probably go under something like John Carlson or some random fake name that they'll give him, you know. Maybe he'll be Michael McGillicuddy's brother, be Daniel McGillicuddy. I don't know. But he's great. Definitely check out his matches online. Go to his website. I think he does have one.
He has kind of almost like an 80s rocker look.
Yeah. Or beach bum. Surfer. Early 90s surfer beach bum.
I can see that.
The blonde hair. Like long, kind of long blonde hair.
Old school Chuck Palumbo type look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Chuck Palumbo WCW days.
Yeah. I like it. If they could run with that and make that kind of his gimmick, he's like this goofy, almost but serious, like 80s rocker kind of guy, it could work really well. I think we need more gimmicks in wrestling. And guys like that, if he can wrestle a 9-year-old girl and make it like a real match, but at the same time, one of his older gimmicks, he was an otaku, which is an anime fan, video game fan.
I can see
that. One of the matches where he fought the Love Doll, and I think it was in I think it was like a tag match, the Love Doll had its head through the second and third rope, and he did Zangief from Street Fighter's super move, where it's a German suplex, but you flip with him, then you throw him into the air. He threw it into the air, and then jumped and did a spinning pile driver.
Well, one of the versions...
all those kind of gimmicks that he does could work really well in a WB way. Especially with cool like promos and things like that to introduce him would be great.
One of the versions of the Love Doll actually has the highest moonsault of all time.
How high was it?
It was pretty high. It would definitely be about from the top of a steel cage.
It's pretty sweet. So, well, that's just the one for it's a free fall though. Someone,
Yeah, well, just
that's pretty good. That's pretty. Well, he wasn't. No, he jumped up.
Yes, he
did
jumped.
not. No, he jumped. Get it right.
I think it's the Hogan version of the doll too.
Oh, okay, yeah, I have seen that one before. There's a few of them though. DDT, which means Dynamic Dream Team.
My favorite was the Muda.
Yeah.
Actually spit the mist.
It's impressive. I mean, it is a real wrestler. Gotta remember that. Check them out, DDT. They have lots of videos online. I think they might have a official YouTube page. If not, there's a lot of crap online. So we're gonna wrap up the show, but this is what we're gonna do for every show we do. We are gonna pick our top 5. Top 5 wrestlers of the moment. Any league, you know, whatever.
Should we come up with a weird 5-hand thing?
Yeah, 5.
Like, you have the Horseman.
Yeah, you know, the stupid Fortune.
Was it Matt Hardy?
Well, this is Fortune, then it goes to Matt Hardy. It's version 1. You want to go ahead and list your top 5? You know, let's do this. You say your number 5, then I'll say my number 5. And we'll go back and forth. Maybe you say your 5, then I'll say my 5, then we'll discuss them.
Alright, my number 5, and the reason it's number 5 is because it's the only reason I watch TNA every week, Brian Kendrick.
Alright, my number 5 is CM Punk.
Wow.
I told you this before. You're going to be completely shocked at my top 5.
Why?
I have reasons why.
Okay. Do we do the reasons now? Or
Yeah, right now. We'll discuss each one.
Why? Brian Kendrick, he's the only reason to watch TNA for me.
Right, which is funny. I think he's number 5. That means that the first 4, that shows you how low TNA is. I think if they're number 2, but their highest guy is their X Division champion, not the world champion, and that they're not. It's like one of your top 4. He's like one of your top 2. You think the top 2 could be your world champions if it's done right, or the guys that are going for it, because that always matters.
The only problem is they've had the same Sting and Kurt Angle. And I guess even Anderson for that short time period, and Hardy's back.
Yeah,
those guys have passed the belt back and forth constantly, and like, it'd be nice to actually see maybe one of the Motor City Machine Guns or you know, any of the original guys eventually come up and get the title and have it be a long run, not a short run, because the guys have definitely earned it, and it's more interesting to see those guys with the belt than like your typical, hey, Angle, Sting.
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you, Punk is my number 5 because I felt like I had to put him in there in a lot of ways, but in the top 5 in general, I actually debate on not putting him in the top 5 at all. Not, I guess honorable mention if we did such a thing, but I don't want to do that. I think that if this was a perfect world and it went the way that everyone thought it was going, and Punk was still fired, but was online doing random videos, number 1, even if they brought him back like they did early, but they were focusing on Punk and not focusing on Triple H and focusing on Laurinaitis and Miz and Truth in it is actually fine, because I like the idea of their conspiracy, which is what works about it. Their conspiracy is hilarious, but the funny thing is, it ends up being true. It's becoming true. Maybe. We've talked about what could maybe happen in the road, but it's the lost opportunity that's pushed him down to 5 for me.
Well, again, with the CM Punk thing.
And Punk himself is the reason why he's at 5. What he has done, what he has said on the mic and is continually putting out there, and his music's great. He's got a great look. His T-shirt, like, dude, you can't help but love this guy when he comes out.
I always do. Another thing with the Punk thing was, like, yeah, with the firing, you know, all of a sudden he has new music, he's coming out through the entryway, they're not trying to take the belt back, he's in the building, no one's trying to, like, beat him up and take the belt. I think it would have been a great angle having him, he mentioned, you know, Colt Cabana, and he mentioned ROH.
Yeah, he mentioned Luke Gallows.
Colt Cabana, well, we don't need Luke Gallows to come back, even though he is local.
Come on.
But Colt Cabana did a dark match recently.
Right.
We know Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero have got developmental deals.
Right.
Why didn't they try and bring them in, have kind of like a little group? You know?
An indie stable.
Exactly.
One of our friends was talking about that, like, even a couple weeks ago. He was saying, with Punk as the champion, Evan Bourne, and Dan O'Brien.
Yeah,
an indie stable, and then you could bring in Cabana,
even
Hero, and Castagnoli. 6-man stable, and it's like an independent thing, and they're talking about how they've been held down because they made their name elsewhere, they made their name on the independents, and they're breaking out. It'd be cool because you have world champion, you have a mid-card guy with Brian being the champion, and then you have all these younger guys that are go-getters.
I would cut Evan Bourne for Tyler Rex just because I'm a big fan, was a big fan of Tyler Black. I'm happy that he signed with WWE, but I want to see more of him than just backstage with these other guys that I don't know who they are.
Yeah, Hawkins and El Generico, not the Generico masked wrestler, but that's what I call generic wrestlers.
It'd just be great for them to use the guy. The guy has a lot of potential. I mean, he left a company where he was world champion to come into a place where he's starting at the bottom and could have easily been, you know, I know you like Mark Henry, but would have been maybe possibly a better idea for championship material to take on Randy Orton than Mark Henry, somebody that's been there for years.
All right, yeah, makes sense. I agree. Let's number 4. What's your number 4?
Lil Jimmy, it's R-Truth.
Mine's Kevin Nash.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought that would have been on my list.
Told you my number 5. I told you my top 5 are gonna be a lot different than yours.
10 years ago, he probably would have been on my list.
No, that makes sense. But I mean, Truth. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, Miz and Truth go together. Miz is kind of a different gimmick. Truth's a different gimmick, but they've kind of had a cool agreement in a lot of ways. I've actually liked Truth before he did his heel stuff, but now that he's got his heel stuff, I think he's gotten a lot better. And he's gotten better than Mike. I think he's been around forever. Yeah. He was K-Quick way back, like 2002 or whatever, and then he was an NWA World Champion. He was in team forever.
He was an anti-smoking sponsor.
Yeah, which is funny because we could tell he smokes, or did at least.
Well, I'll be honest. I wasn't an R-Truth fan in the very beginning. I didn't like the whole rap gimmick. You know, I thought it was a little, like, dated. He was a little bit more for the kids, fans. But when he broke out...
He was the Black Cena, is what you're saying.
Cena's not black. But for him to all of a sudden do this heel turn and to come into his own with it, and it was pre-Punk when he started... his ranting and raving, which I really liked. It's off the wall. It's crazy. It's different than what we're seeing even in stuff in the past. It's just completely different. Mm-hmm. Not anything expected. It's well entertaining. The guy's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, everything else aside, for years, you know, he's been a great wrestler. It's good to see him get some credit.
Yeah. Well, Nash... You gonna ask me? Because I'll tell you. I mean, I got bigger surprises. Because I hope you aren't looking at my list. Okay. Because who's benefited more from being on TV than any of those other guys of all the big feud and stories that are going on? The Cena Del Rio stuff in a lot of ways is back burner.
I don't even like Del Rio.
But Nash has. Think about how many more independent bookings he's getting. And think about, he's in good shape for as big as and old as he is anymore, you know, especially you're that big of a guy, you're going to fall apart, you know, no matter what sport you're in. Like, the fact that he's around, he's looking good, they're using him in a good role, he doesn't have to go out and wrestle. He can go in there and beat the crap out of dudes and powerbomb. He doesn't have to go out and go, hey guys, I am Kevin Nash. I'm already Kevin Nash. Now it's my turn. He's helping Punk. He's helping push Punk because it's this big man. It's a guy that's established. A lot of people know him. Even a lot of the younger people necessarily don't know him, but it helps. And I think it's just kind of cool to see Kevin Nash, but in a good way. He's not in the way. You know, Nash, when he was booking in WCW and all those times in WCW, you know, he stopped Goldberg's streak with Hall's taser and stuff like that. Now he's kind of giving back in a lot of ways. And you know what? If he wants to make a bit of extra money and help guys, I am all for that.
My only complaints with Nash, it was awesome to see him at Royal Rumble as Diesel. Why they decided to drop one gimmick for the other, I probably prefer the Kevin Nash over the Diesel because Diesel was 1990, and let's face it, we're not in 1990 anymore.
No. 20 years ago. That's kind of scary. A little more than that now.
I think some of the writers might be in 1990. But
I wish we'd have more goofy gimmicks. I want Techno Team 2000 back. This time, Techno Team 2012.
Well,
they're 1 year ahead.
We need new guys since one's dead.
We'll figure it out.
But
your buddy Tyler Rex doesn't do anything.
There you go. And the other dude Buster. No, the other thing is, I understand that Nash dyed his hair to do the Diesel thing.
Yeah.
But you would think that he could come up with one color.
The gray kind of coming through here.
Then you got the gray, you have like the brownish blonde, and then the black.
Yeah.
The other thing is what is up with the mustache.
Oh, how it's really trimmed right through here? Is
yeah.
Yeah, it looks a little messy.
It makes his face look a lot longer. And you got to think HDTV, Nash. Your face looks a lot longer now because of the weird mustache.
Yeah. I'll tell you why they switched back to Diesel to Kevin Nash. I was talking about this with this guy earlier.
Was it the Jim Ross drop again?
No. I think it's because when they have him, when he appeared as Diesel, he appeared as the character Diesel, and it was a one-off thing. Where Booker T appeared at that at Royal Rumble.
Who hasn't been in a ring in 5.5 years?
Apparently there was no other. There was no. He never owned a training league where he wrestled, and there was no six-sided ring league that he was in for a while with a bunch of other guys.
He did that Legends tour around WrestleMania.
No, he didn't. He wrestled.
He was the one.
He wrestled 5.5 years ago, Mick. 5.5 years ago. No, so no, with Nash, I think they went with the name because it's the idea is he's not in as a character. Someone hired the former wrestler, retired Kevin Nash to come back and do it, not as a character.
Who I guess hasn't wrestled since. Was he Diesel before?
No. He
Does WCW count?
No, he wrestled WWE in like 2003. Remember, he cut his hair off for the Punisher, Jericho.
Yeah, and that was around the last time.
Yeah. There was no more wrestling there.
He wrestled?
No. Well, actually, WWE, you're not wrestling, right? Aren't you entertaining? You can't say wrestling. Come on, they should realize that. You're not allowed to call your wrestlers. You call them superstars. Go on to number 3.
Number 3 is one that most people probably aren't familiar. Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is the New Japan World Champion.
Mine's Mark Henry. I'll tell you guys now, it's all WWE guys. I haven't really been following anybody. I could care less about Impact because it's really, really bad. And I just haven't had time to really look at any other leagues, like current. You know, I mean, I look at old stuff all the time. I was watching Clash of Champions a couple days ago. So.
The good old days. Tanahashi, he's got a really cool look. He's one of the best wrestlers, not just Japanese, but one of the best all-around wrestlers that I've seen in a long time. Very innovative, a lot of his moves. If you go to YouTube and you look up the top 10 moves, a lot of innovative moves.
Yeah, he was in TNA for a little bit, I think X-Cup stuff. I mean, no, he's great.
But does that count, TNA?
Well, he's not WWE, so sure, why not? Mark Henry, mine. The amazing push that they finally have gotten to do and finally done it right. I know you've disagreed with it. You just don't like Mark Henry.
He's not entertaining. He's pretty stiff.
He's stiff in speech. I
think he's stiff in ring.
Well, I think that might be on purpose now, a little bit.
I hope.
But I think if he could speak, though, he could be number 1. He could be a Vader, a modern-day Vader, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, because Vader, let's be honest, Vader isn't the greatest wrestler in the world, or wasn't. He doesn't really wrestle anymore. But he could beat the crap out of dudes, and he just had this presence. Henry doesn't have the presence without speaking. I think he needs a manager, man. If he had Paul Heyman like Lesnar did, perfect.
Well, now, what is Kali's translator? Ranjit Singh.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And Mark Henry could definitely use a translator because half the time I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to number 2.
Number 2 for me is Pac. Wrestles in Dragon Gate. He's half of the tag team champions there. Another guy.
Dragon Gate USA.
Dragon Gate USA.
There is 2 different ends.
Very innovative guy too. Very entertaining to watch. Not really a spot monkey in the sense that he does a lot of high-flying stuff, and there's nothing in between.
I think he's a bit of a spot monkey.
His matches are entertaining.
Okay.
The way he puts everything together, I don't see it. It's not an Evan Bourne where he does 3 high-flying things and then just sits and does nothing the rest of the match.
Mine's Miz, so not much. I mean, we kind of already covered Miz in R-Truth. I mean, it's Miz. He's great. I actually hated him up to about 4 or 5 months ago. I used to like him way back when he had the U.S. title. Long time ago, 3 years ago. Whenever he really kind of first appeared in WWE, outside of Tough Enough stuff. Liked him then for a little bit, and now I really enjoy him now. He's done he's just gotten a lot better. Number ones. Let's go number ones.
Well, my number 1 is your number 5, CM Punk.
Alright. Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising. Alright, my number 1 is Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, also known as Billy Gunn.
Yeah, well, actually, to me, I mean, he's already a former world champion, which is kind of stupid to say, because remember, he won a championship with SmackDown. I mean, no one watched SmackDown, so who remembers, right? I mean, Swagger's a former world champion. I mean, what the heck? But it's not that. I like that they've actually been slowly building him up now. I mean, they mentioned him as a former world champion, but they've kind of been keeping it a lot low-key, and he's kind of working his way up, and he's losing matches. I mean, he lost against Ryder, but he got knocked out by Hugh Jackman. And I think by doing that, if you're a heel, you don't have to win a match to get over. You do not have to win a match. You can cheat every match. Flair made a career off that.
I think Iron Mike Sharp made a career not winning any matches in his whole...
Well, Barry Horowitz made a career of that too.
Actually, he started winning there.
He did win a few. But there for a while, you wanted him to win. He didn't. 1, 2, 3 kid. You took forever to win a match between him and Razor. I wanted Barry Horowitz to win. Who didn't? He pat himself on the back. Who couldn't do that? He had a handprint. A handprint. That's how hard he did it. He did a handprint so hard he put it on his vest. It's like a Chuck Norris joke, I guess, or something. I like the fact that he's been slowly getting pushed, and he's not, like, they aren't pushing him in line to be, like, fighting Cena next month. You know, because they aren't going to put Punk or Triple H up there. But it's like, oh, I like that they're keeping Del Rio, and they're letting Ziggler screw around with, like, the Vicky stuff, kind of going a little bit with Swagger. And then maybe he's going to build to something with Ryder. I just like that they've been slowly doing it, and I like that progression, and I like that I've been able to watch his progression. I think he's gotten better as a wrestler. He had a really good match with Orton 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. That was a really good match. It impressed me, because getting a match out of Orton that's any good is damn near impossible. With Foley, I guess, is one of the only few. No one else in WWE right now can do anything with Orton. I can't stand him.
Well, Dolph Ziggler... I think that definitely he would be way better on his own. I don't think he needs Vicky Guerrero.
I can see that. Maybe that's the thing. You keep pushing him up, and he gets to a level where he gets fed up.
She keeps bringing him down.
Yes, and it's almost getting to that point now. It's getting close. And I think eventually he just goes screw it. Maybe he goes face for a little bit. But I think he's better as a heel. He's kind of cocky. He kind of reminds me of Billy Gunn, but a better Billy Gunn.
Well, he's had the hair, the outfit.
I like it.
He's got the
I'm glad he went when he dyed his hair.
He's now in the Billy and Chuck era.
Well, I'm glad that remember he dyed his hair brown for a little bit, and then he went back to blonde.
I don't think he dyed it. I think he stopped dyeing it.
No, it would have been that quick. There's no way he'd done it that quick, unless he was putting like bleach in his hair every day, and then it's like, oh, one day I forgot. No, you know what? I like him. This probably change next week. Raw's tomorrow night. Who the heck knows? I mean, SmackDown's Friday. Maybe we'll see what's going to happen then.
On the Dolph Ziggler guy,
no pun intended.
There was a guy on SmackDown that they were building the feud with Dolph Ziggler. The guy that had those vignettes where he poured milk on himself and all the cliches. I forget the guy's name, but what happened to that guy?
I don't know.
I don't know. Again, one of the WWE things where they start an idea and it's nowhere.
Yep.
A perfect example was the whole Katie Vick. That just kind of faded.
Well, I think they're trying to get rid of that one really quick. Let's just ixnay on the Katie Vick.
But even the Vince angles that they've done in the past,
Well, I think one ended in tragedy. When Vince McMahon died, it killed 2 other people apparently.
But that one aside, when the Sept fell on him, that kind of fizzled out to nowhere. Last time we saw him, he was in a coma, and then that kind of just fizzled out of nowhere.
And then it's gonna fizzle out with all this stuff of him getting fired.
Pretty much. And then you got the guest, what was the computer?
Oh, the anonymous
general manager. That kind of just faded.
Yeah, they didn't say anything about it. I kind of wish I think it'd be funny if they had him and Triple H battle. General Manager's like, no, I'm standing my ground down to you, Triple H. I am a computer. I am a being. I am going self-aware. She goes self-aware. Should have been self-aware.
And becomes Prototype.
See, then you have a robotic character. He's controlled by the general manager.
Prototype.
He has robotic movements still to this day. So,
he looks
all right.
well,
Well, this is Wrestling Ring Post. Check out WrestlingRingPost.com. There will be weekly videos, and we'll probably do some little random things here and there, some articles, maybe whatever else. Who knows? We live out in Western Maryland, kind of out in the boonies, but there's a bunch of wrestling leagues around here. Maybe we'll go check one out. And we'll talk about it, or maybe get to talk to some of the wrestlers or something. We know a bunch of people. So take care.